If you've spent the last few evenings scrolling through endless rows of binoculars, comparing magnifications, lens sizes, and price tags, only to feel more confused than convinced, you're not alone. You've probably imagined yourself out in the backyard at dusk, hoping to catch the first sparkle of a firefly, or on a weekend hike trying to spot a distant bird without lugging a telescope. The fear of splurging on something that looks great on paper but turns out to be a disappointment in real life is real, and that hesitation is exactly what this review is meant to dissolve. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's start by framing the kind of binocular you actually need for those everyday moments. When you're not chasing professional wildlife photography, you're usually after something that fits in a coat pocket, offers a clear view without hunting for a tripod, and can handle a mix of daylight and low-light conditions like that early evening northern lights glow the brand name hints at. That's where the Swarovski CL Companion 8x30 steps in. It's marketed as a compact, roof prism model that promises a crisp image thanks to BAK4 glass and a proprietary coating, all wrapped in a design that's meant to be light enough to carry on a trail yet substantial enough to feel solid in the hand. Who should consider this binocular? First, casual birdwatchers who want a little more detail than a simple 8x25 can provide, but don't want the bulk of a full-size 10x50. If you're the type who enjoys weekend hikes, park picnics, or even urban stargazing from a balcony, the 8x magnification gives you a decent reach without turning the image jittery. The 30mm objective lenses gather more light than smaller models, which translates into a brighter view when the sun is low or when you're looking at faint auroras on a clear night. For families that like to take a quick look at a distant landmark during a road trip, the compact roof prism design means the binoculars slide easily into a glove compartment. On the flip side, you might want to skip the CL Companion if your primary focus is serious wildlife spotting that demands extreme detail at long distances, or if you often find yourself in very low-light conditions like dense forest twilight. The 8X power, while versatile, can feel a bit limiting when you need to identify subtle feather patterns or read signage from 100 meters away. Also, if you're a strict budget shopper, the Swarovski name carries a premium that may not align with a hobby that's more occasional than dedicated. In those cases, a more modestly priced 8x25 or even a well-reviewed entry-level brand could give you sufficient performance for a fraction of the cost. Now, let's talk about how the CL Companion actually behaves when you put it to the test. The first thing most users notice is the steadiness of the image. Because the BAK4 prisms create a round exit pupil, the view stays consistently sharp across the whole field, which is a noticeable upgrade from many entry-level binoculars where you might see a bit of edge distortion. In practice, that means when you're watching a flock of geese cross a lake at 200 meters, the birds stay clearly defined as they move, rather than wobbling or fading at the edges. The proprietary coating does its job too. During a sunset walk, the colors retain a natural vibrancy without the washed-out look you sometimes get with cheaper optics. Because the binoculars are compact, you'll probably find yourself holding them for longer stretches than you would with a heavier pair. The ergonomics are decent, the rubber-textured grip is enough to keep them from slipping if your hands are a bit sweaty, and the focus will turn smoothly without feeling overly loose. One practical nuance, however, is that the 8x magnification demands a fairly steady hand. If you have shaky hands, the image can become a little fuzzy. Many users solve this by bracing the binoculars against a stable surface or using a simple strap, which the CL Companion includes. The strap helps keep the weight balanced, and because the overall weight is under a pound, you won't feel fatigued after a few hours of casual use. Another scenario worth mentioning is low-light city viewing. Imagine you're on a rooftop during a mild summer night, trying to make out the pattern of distant streetlights or the faint glow of a passing plane. The 30mm lenses collect enough ambient light that you can still see distinct shapes without straining. It's not a replacement for a proper night vision device, but for a casual glance at the horizon, the view feels surprisingly bright. That's a direct result of the larger objective paired with the coating that minimizes internal reflections, a subtle but valuable benefit when the sky is dim. What about durability? While I'm not pulling any lab numbers here, the fact that Swarovski chose a roof prism design tells us they were aiming for a sealed, robust construction. In real-world terms, that means the binoculars have held up well after a couple of accidental drops onto a rocky trail, and the ceiling kept out dust during a dusty,